Well, guess who our final and best sign is going to be? I think this is right on brand. Aries, it's you guys. You are a 12th sign. And I think this is so beautiful. Just considering how many planetary bodies are moving through Pisces at this time. Also, I just think I really wanted to refocus your reading and talk about the divine child and like the celebration of like, the heart of winter, which is like deeply divine feminine, sort of the manifestation of the feminine, the dream of the feminine, the divine child. I just feel like I love that frequency. Talking about the sacredness of Aries around this time of year is always just so phenomenal. So let's see what your overview for December is, Aries. Oh my gosh. This is so beautiful. Again, I keep making Avatar references, but it's when Zuko and Aang had to collaborate and, learn the dragon fire dance, and they had to, they had to really work together to understand how to like keep their flame lit through the cycles. I think Aries, there's no question if you know how to like show up and be who you are. I think the biggest thing though is like understanding yourself, your energy, and your essence, and what's good for it, like long term. Like not, you know what I'm saying? Like I always talk about this all the time, but I talk about like deep partnership. Like the most important thing about like when you go official or when you claim something or someone for you, I think the biggest thing is always going to come down to like you need to also know though before you get into deep partnerships that like you guys can not that you can endure a cycle together, because life isn't just about like survivability. But you also need to be able to understand, like, as Aries, like, what's good for me throughout any type of cycle. And you need to kind of be looking at life, what you're creating and what you're connecting yourself to as, like, is it good for my Aries fire through the cycles? Because I think this December is wrapping up something really huge for you, Aries. If there were any things in the last 14 years specifically, and even deeper cycles before that, where there was just, like, a lot of, like, lifetimes of, like I said, everybody's really excited about the baby, maybe like the first week. And then there's like these parents that want to be like, this is what I'm saying is like, Aries, you were healing that wound of like the parent that just like wants the baby, but doesn't want the child, doesn't want the like the thing that actually just keeps living and grows old and like becomes more. And I think because there's so many abused children, there's so many, like inner child, like energy that's just, I feel like you're not used to, I think you think of yourself because you're cardinal fire. I think you just think that like you're the flick the lighter and like that's like whatever. But in the reality of things, it's like, I mean, it's just the type of Aries, I think you're just realizing that like life is nothing but a lot of comprehensive cycles, and the decisions I make, the things that I want to partner myself up with, the things that I want to like commit myself to over time, they just they have to continue to support like what you really and truly are at an elemental level. So let's see. And I also just think this has to do with the masculine and the feminine working together, right? It's like you come with this masculine principle of like original fire, but then it's like what would be a good match for Aries through the cycles is like a really important thing to talk about, because I think too, Aries, this is also where you're like learning to expand past things being a really good match for you just for a cycle. I think you need to start looking at your life as this. You're the egg that the moon is like orbiting around, right? And so it's not so much about thinking of your identity like I think you become a new person every time it's a new cycle, and not in the way that like, oh, be reborn. I mean, like, I think you let cycles determine too much. I think you need to have a lens that's more focused on like who you are as an energy, and not so much about how to survive or like deal with what's on the plate. It's always gonna be something new on the plate, but I think it's because you're not thinking of yourself as the co-creative nucleus and nebulous that you are, like as the potential that you actually have. And so perhaps there's a lot of Aries placements at this time that are dealing with that, where it's like you have to really be able to understand though, like I think because you're thinking like, oh, life just comes to you, I'm just trying to adjust and adapt to like what life cycles come to me. But it's like no life cycle just comes to you. You like set yourself on a path, like you decide like what it's going to be. So I think for some of you too, I also just feel like it could have also been for a certain low vibration. It could have just been cycle after cycle after cycle of like hell, like just tolerating that. I don't know. A lot of the off the top downloads. Let's just see where we're at. But I think that's the biggest thing is like, it's the reverse. Instead of letting the cycle determine who and what you're going to be around and who you're going to be, decide who you're going to be, and that will dictate the cycles that you actually end up like living out and going through. Let's see what your December message is. Okay, Aries. coming in. The only thing between you and running an empire is old, emotional, intuitive. It's needing to utilize what you've learned psychologically. Aries, I should just say this. For you, this is like habitual. This is like habitual. You've already learned this. It's like this is like the type of emperor that's like cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle. We do the same thing. And I think the whole point is that like spirit wants you to derive some wisdom about, because I think right now you're saying things like, this is what I do, this is who I'm married to, this is where I go to work, this is what, but it's like someone can blow that all over because they're like, that's what you do, like that's what you are, like, okay, like, but what are you, and I feel like that's what I'm saying is like December is making you stop, like you have to walk away from the weight. That's also what I'm seeing is like, Aries, you've been filling up cups, like maybe that's all you do is just like fill up cups. I'm just like funny because like my younger brother-in-law is from Aries, but he also like bar back, so they're kind of just showing me Christmas, like you're filling up the cups for all these people, but it's like, don't, like, at the same time, Aries, you're an emperor, so it's like even when these cycles, like, yes, there are times when, like, because I think the problem is right now, Aries, is like you've stayed too long in a cycle. Like there's a cycle that should have been a cycle for you. It could have been a partnership that was supposed to be just a cycle for you, a timeline that you stayed in cycle after cycle after cycle. I feel like you deeply committed to something very long term that actually should have just been a smaller cycle, and the root of that is because you were not in the awareness of like the empire. You're waiting on the empire to strike back, but it's your empire. Like it's your life. It's what you create out of it. You're not just like, fill her up, please. You're not just like going up to get a slushie. Like you're deciding what flavors of slushie we're serving, when and why and how. And I keep feeling with Aries, it was like you were thinking of life as, instead of like, I am the egg that all the moons revolve around, I'm thinking that like, depending on the moon phase, I'll be a different person. And I think that's really affected you because I just see a lot of Aries who have gone, it's kind of why you guys have like late bloomer frequencies, but I think you went a really long time and it's like, you're the last person to know you're an emperor in your own world. And that's not like a good place to be necessarily, because it just means that like, you've been going so like, again, and this is that stubbornness. This is like needing to trust God. This is like needing to trust the feminine principle that you're being shown. It's like, because again, I'm seeing someone who's just like, for cycle after cycle after cycle, I've continued to like keep filling these cups up, but I already have drunken out of them. I already know like what's on the inside of these cups. I already know what's for me, because I'm seeing a lot of Aries. It's not even that it's toxic by way of that it's misaligned, but it's not like you're not like necessarily attracted to toxic things per se, but you are attracted to things that you've already received all that they can give you. Like the cup is just empty. So it's like people who keep like alcohol bottles. Like, I mean, I guess if you need like, remember when we finished this bottle? But the bottle's finished and there's nothing really like in it anymore. But to create like cycle after cycle after cycle with things that you already know, that I think that's the thing, is like, you know it, but then it's like the reason it wasn't coming into your conscious awareness is because it just has to do with like not being aware that like you are an emperor. Do you understand? It's bigger than a king. It's bigger than a queen. You run an empire. Your life is an empire. And again, I just feel like, look at the moon phases, look at the cycles, look at how long. This is also mastery. This is like emotional and spiritual mastery. This is like when you actually like studied everything. This is now you're telling me, it's like, when you go somewhere, this is disgusting, but like you go to a restaurant and they have like a challenge, like it's like, if you can eat 150 hamburgers and you actually eat them all sitting down, we'll give them to you for free. It's like it's like you can body it. Like, I mean, you could be the person that's like, fucking mukbang. This is like mukbang vibes. Like, I can do it. I can body it. Like, that's great. But I feel like Aries, it's like your fire has been, I think like you've burnt up. I'm not going to hold you, Aries. You have burnt up. This cycle, it was supposed to be a cycle. Now it's been multiple cycles, but it's like, look at what's the interior like. If there's no other element, nothing else. This is a fiery hellscape. And that in and of itself, I think, is just because of how long you've stayed in certain things that, like, again, I always use this analogy. It's like, could have been a Tinder date. You ended up, like, marrying the bitch. Like, you should have let it be light. You should have let it, like, sometimes, too, it's like obedience to God can really help you. Like, sometimes maybe you think your family's supposed to play a bigger role in your destiny than they actually do. So maybe you just spend so long, cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle, doing the same thing with the guys. But it's not getting any more relevant to any of you. And that's why you're realizing now, like, we're just burning up each other. It's like just a hellscape. It's just like not good type of thing. Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly that. You're Aries, this is huge for you. Neptune going direct is like you can already run it yourself. I think this is important for you to know that some of these collaborative efforts that like you don't really need, you're just here to finish it off. You only walked up to like something like this, Three of Pentacles reverse, Aries, because it was about getting you to stand in your own independence, in your own ability to like run your own thing. Because I think this is just a lot of like, again, partnerships we go into, contracts that we accept, and they're just trying to get you to graduate. I think that's another thing, is like your inner student needs to be healed at this time. Like you do need to like connect with like keeping your fire over time. This is one thing I was talking to my husband. It's like, if you have an Aries placement, you have got to figure out a way to implement some sort of fixed ideology so that you actually finish stuff, and so that you don't just burn too hot and burn everything up, or burn relationships, burn bridges. Because Aries, it's not really going to be an option anymore. It's not really going to be enough to be like, oh, you're Aries sun, Aries moon, Aries rising, you just burn everybody up. No, it's not really like going to be an option. That the tantrum's not really like even an option at this point. And I just feel like, again, you would be in December, you're like closing out, you're finishing the last of whatever partnerships, collaborative efforts that you were going through with others. You're finishing that from a place of completion, of being like, we need to be done with this. And the reason you need to be done with this is because these things were just going to initiate you to realize that you should have made, again, it's like, it's a wounding that you had where you thought like the weather is going to decide what it is for you. And I think you learned very quickly that it's like, well, that's why my life was always out of control, and I never felt like I could like establish myself, because I was too busy letting the cycle determine who I'm going to be. Who you are is non-disputable. It doesn't matter whether it's raining or sunny. Like, that's duality for you, babes. Like, it doesn't, I'm always going to be the same Alexis that I always am. That's why when I get around people who I know have this wounding, they'll usually talk to me like they can control me. Like, you definitely can't control me, because like, I'm going to still be the same me whether I'm talking to you in your face or not. So again, Aries, this is like a lot of things purging up and cleaning up in your psyche in general. But again, I know you're going to really feel like this message is hitting, because I think that's what your problem has been. It's just like, you are doing stuff, the amount of cycles that you stay doing stuff is like, you're overdoing it. It's not supposed to be a life cycle. Could have been a mini cycle. Even the way that you listen and hear and learn from other people, again, healing the inner student. It's like, we're trying to just get you to master something that doesn't need to always be so long and drawn out. We don't need Aries to always like, because again, Aries, I just feel like these little mini tests you're failing. And you're failing so miserably because you're an emperor. So God's like, I don't have any patience for you. You're an emperor, Aries. You can't be missing the mark. You know? This is like, you just can't be missing the mark. You also can't just be burning everything to the ground. Because it does just stand as that. It doesn't, you're, Aries, whatever shortcomings you have too, they don't really have the power to like throw anything else off of balance other than yourself. You get me? I also feel like, Aries, stability, personal stability, personal achievements, personal senses of feeling like I have that under control, right? I think also, Aries, the cycle that you've been creating with this not good contract, I think this is a bad contract. That's the other thing. Is like, it's one thing to partner in life, but you're not in a partner, you're in a contract. This is relationships that are contractual. This is the emperor who's like, my only friends are people who work for me. Like, this is like someone who's like married to someone, and it's like, you're not married to them because you respect them, you're adored, none of that. This is like someone who just like needed again, can you like mow the grass for me? Can you like, it's just, this is not a human and healthy way to like compartmentalize like why you're going to bring and create something in your life. And then it's like, you created this sense of physical stability with something that is nothing but pain for you. It's nothing but like goes against your spiritual truth. And again, it's because I feel like there was a part of you that, again, it's like a wounding, but it's like, you are an emperor. So like a lot of the things you're doing, committing to stuff like that is like, it's not just like sacrilegious, it's like manipulative. Because I think people read it as like, why are you doing this when you're as big as you are? Like when people meet you, they're like, why do you work here? You don't even need that. Why are you married to that person? You don't even need to be. It's like, it doesn't even do anything for you, right? And so then it kind of, I think in December, you're also going to be seen, like if you're in that lower vibration where it's like what you do, like I don't think you see how much like the stuff you've been tethering yourself to cycle after cycle after cycle just kind of looks like accessories that you manipulate. Because yeah, you got some little foundation to show, but it's more so heartbreaking. Like when people look at how you're doing, it's like, I mean, that's it. It's just not adding up. It's like, you know, and I told my husband this, I was like, baby, whenever this like activates in you, and you get through enough cycles of like understanding and connecting all the dots for you, you will realize like you've always had the ability to like do the emperor thing, run the empire, and like be completely sovereign. Like we don't got to be living on nobody and doing nothing. But again, my husband didn't get here overnight. He's a child that was born and raised and conditioned into a deeply specific way. So I'm just making sure that the group is helping. If it was a group collab to bring the dentist that's here today here, then I'm going to make sure that that group is also helping us get the fucking shit, the wires, untangled. And so that's all I'm saying though. It's like the parts of his life right now that he's like trying to make sense of. I was like, yeah, well, there's a lot of things that are like in your orbit that you're committing to, contracts that they don't really have anything to do with anything for you particularly, because you're already an emperor. I think that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is kind of like the delayed thing. It's like, Aries, I keep trying to tell you, you're actually lapping people. You're not behind. And so, you get around these people who think you're so behind and they think they have so much to teach you in the world, and you let them. But then in the end, it's like, it just comes across as like, you're the emperor in this collaborative aspect, and it's like, I don't even know why you're asking. It's like I said, you just don't need, it's just way too small scale. Like a 3 pentacles it's just like, you go up to your manager if you have an idea about how to like make the shift more efficient, or you have a side project that you want to work on. You don't go up to like the owner of the company, because you probably wouldn't even have access to them, trying to talk to them about what you do on your shift. But that's not, and so that's what I'm saying. You're like it's like what you have around you kind of it reads that way, where it's like what you're committing to, what you're doing. It's like, well, you're just way bigger than all of that. And I think this activation and this message is here to let you know, it's like, you don't, because I think too, it's like, I think someone told you somewhere along the line that it's like, you have to have some foundation that you show off at some point. And that's what you should be working for. Again, the arbitrary thing, desiring the cycle and not really the cycle for you, desiring a thing, but not the thing for you and how it would manifest for you. Because I think for you, it's like, you don't just need to like show up at the family dinner with a girlfriend. We would want to see the girlfriend that's like really for you, right? Like, you know what I mean? We don't really just need you to have like a bit. And I think like being raised in botched environments where that's like what's happening, where it's like, again, you're letting the cycle determine, oh, you're at a job. Like if you had parents who are like, oh, you got a job, buddy, where's your girlfriend? It's like talking like that to someone makes no sense, because it's not just like, where's your girlfriend? Nobody's entitled to that. So I think a lot of you were raised to be entitled, raised by entitlement in certain ways. And maybe what December is showing you is like the ways where like God really wants you to drop off whatever entitlement you picked up from others that doesn't really belong to your natural disposition or blueprint. Right? 2 of Pentacles. Yeah. It's just like, Aries, and again, you put all this fire, all this full-grown fire in the recent past into like 2 Pentacles. You're bigger. I say Dennis. Aries, it's not you. You're not off at all. You need to allow your vision to be, you need to stop worrying about the smallness. You're putting all your creative ability into stuff that's not, again, it's just a cycle. And I think it's a psychological thing. I think when you switch up and when you set a vibration that says, this is a cycle, it's not my life, then when you like lead with that, it's like people don't have access to try to, because I think when you show signs of complacency, when you show signs of getting too comfortable and too entitled, it sends a message that's like, oh, you want to kick your feet up here. Oh, you want to be here for some time. And so I think to avoid that, because I think even with my husband, like right now, like again, we're back at his parents' home trying to get started in Atlanta. But I have to keep reminding him, I was like, you keep getting riled up into stuff because you walk around with the disposition that it's like, we're like here for longer than we are. Or like, it's more so that he doesn't like represent how much he does really well. Like he doesn't really he doesn't really show transparently like how much bigger, how much more he's like navigating. So, but I also told him, I was like, you got to deal with the inner narcissist, because the only reason you'll get baited out by 2 of Pentacles, which is people coming up to you trying to start little petty stuff. It's like, this can be wrapped up, and it doesn't even need to be wrapped up. It can be wrapped up by your vibration not even being available, to where it's like, nobody's going to bring that shit to me because I'm already showing you I'm just too busy. You get what I'm saying? You can be in a cycle. Right now I'm in a cycle of transition, but like I am not waking up every day feeling defeated because I'm in someone else's house right now. Like I'm actually, I can see it for what it is, because I'm using this cycle as what it is. I'm really good at segmenting and being like, obviously Alexis is not going to die living in my parents' household. That's obviously the truth. It's the same thing I was talking to you guys about, like with my family. It was like, they didn't let me like go through the cycle of 2025. They were too excited to be like, you're always this type of person. You don't work, you don't do that. And I was like, that is so insane that you guys actually are like saying like finite stuff. Like every cycle you've ever witnessed from me has been the same. That's not true. The 1 year, the economy is crashing and it's not easy for anybody to get a job because nobody has real job work anymore, because we've all like gouged out real services and work for capitalism. it's just crazy for people to say that like I've never done certain stuff or I don't consider that's like crazy, which is why I have to rely on the archive to just show you girls exactly how much I continue to do with or without you. But it's the same thing. I think Aries, this is the best message I can give to you. When you stop thinking that it's only you, it's not actually anyone else. These are like little contracts that aren't even. You're the emperor. Like again, I need you to know you're the dominant one. You're the one who's running the whole empire because you're the one who actually like takes care of and knows. Like I think you're the one who's like physically in the empire. That's the other thing. Is like even if you're codependent on these botched things, even if you need other people to do certain aspects of things, like you're the one who's like conceiving the vision of the whole thing that they're employed. Like it's almost like that's what I'm saying. Like some of your partnerships look like they're like employed to you again. Like also like Aries like cleaning up the like, oh also Aries like when you go to work like your coworkers don't have to be. It's not depending on where you work. It's not every job that you work, and the reason you go there is gonna give you like your people. Another big thing I want to say is like Aries, stop with the like complacent like, oh, I just showed up somewhere and they gotta be like they must be my whatever. Because unless you really curated the job, like unless you really know you're in a job because you wanted to go and like meet other community members, but if you went to a job just like to make money, don't make a life partner out of that because the job is probably a cycle, but then you like made a partner out of it or you made like a longer. That's what I'm saying, Aries. It comes down to like you need to be distinguished. You are distinguished. I think the December is going to wrap up in maybe sober ways depending for some of you, but it's going to really wrap up being like right. And like I said, and I think for many of you, God's going to move you right out of the Three of Pentacles. Like it's for like my husband, he's nothing to worry about because I'm like, he's proper the emperor. And these are just like, it's just karmic cycles that have to just like close out through more people whenever they're ready, seeing fully what like was always in front of them. Because I don't even think the people that are in my husband's life really understand how wrong and how much bad karma they have coming to them because of how wrong they are about who he is. Like it's just, it is what it is, you know? So he doesn't really exactly. It's so beautiful. December ends with you in full union. There's that King of Wands. He's good. You go from your recent past, which is this, Two of Pentacles, to just refocusing your attention on the union. You already have real union internally. I feel like whatever cycle you went through where you were an emperor pairing yourself with the Three of Pentacles in reverse, a contract, something that it had to do with, like, I'm seeing a lot of Aries are in partnerships right now with people, places, or things that were finishing off sides of things that you didn't think you were strong enough to do or govern yourself. But you always were. And it was actually just a wound that Neptune is now clearing out for you on your blueprint that was making you think you weren't doing it, weren't capable. It's like I was telling my husband, it's like, Dennis, stop with the victimization. You are my husband. You're already that. You are already the person that I've said is better than any person I've ever met at being a 100% mirror to me for all of the aspects of me. You guys know how much I got going on with my frequency. So I was like, I already had to tell him that. I was like, there's nothing to be victimized about. You already won. You already have the prize. You already have the most valuable thing in your hands. You're already in union again. So you just have to deal with right now, Aries, like the parts of like you have certain contracts that are not just expired. They're curdled milk. They are like, and at this point they just feel like brazen and hell ridden because they're just so not, there's no, the cycle extended probably way too long. Like something that should have been a chapter has been way too long of a chapter book, but it also gives like, it's all just like burnt up. It's like it is nothing but conflict, comparison, and bullshit. And it's like not conducive for anything because there's no other element other than everyone burning the place down the fire. And it's just like not healthy, but you would know exactly that. You would know exactly what is contractual and is just trying to reverberate to you like why you're an emperor. Because I think too, sometimes those things get turned up because your blessing is already there. That's the other thing I want to tell you. It's like for my husband, I was like, okay, wait. There are times where he keeps getting brought into like the parts of things that are like contractual, but at the same time, I just keep trying to tell him, I was like, yeah, but it's always going to be your fault if you're dropping album 73 and you're focused on the small fries. You're focused on the people who are mentally sick and are just like starting stuff with you. That's on you because again, the only person that can tell you how valuable the things you have in your life are would be you. If my husband has got all my attention, if my job is the most important thing, if I really believe that what I say is really important, then I would be sitting in this room not caring about what the hell is going on anywhere else, doing my job, doing what I have to do to make sure that, because I'm already in union. That's why the girls don't play me. That's what, because I don't got any spare time to be dealing with this. Like you, Aries, you never had the spare time to be sitting up here in hell dealing with all the comparison. So kill that off in yourself. Just literally understand that it's like, I'm already an emperor, and there's no negativity that's happening to you. The only thing, there's no points. Nobody can pin anything on you. You're not doing anything wrong. The only thing that I will say is the reason you keep vibrationally aligning and attracting things like this, these contracts, these like literal karmic contracts that just keep popping up, is because God just really wants you to remember you are an emperor. You've already reached that. you're in December 2025, you've already reached that. You already have a castle. So if nothing else, the jibber jabber, the peanut gallery is only peanut gallerying because of what you already have. So again, the way to shut it up all the way would actually to be that you need to go deeper and honor the things that you really do have for yourself as an individual. That could include a really healthy sense of, you know, your work. You could have a really, you could have skills and abilities. You could have a really good sense of like internal, blah, blah, blah. You could have all these things, but again, you already have those things. And so this contract that's now got to expire, it has to end, because it's just like, you already know, Aries. It's like, you guys, there's nothing, it's not union. It's also making room for your true union, for the thing that actually could pair with you, but you can't be in a contract because divine union is not a contract. It's not one contract. It's a lifelong partnership. There's a lot of shit that we're signing on to with a divine union. But I think some of you are making union length things with contracts, like karmics, contracts, people that it's like that you didn't need to pick that person. And again, it comes down to like, just because they're at your job, just because they're at the same show as you, like you need something a little more substantial than just like, oh, we're in the same place at the same time. That's why I think I want to include these people in my business. No. And even with that, like even where you're choosing to work and stuff, like you got like, let it be a cycle. But I think it's more of your mental space. This isn't like actually about what you do. It's not that you're like going to a part-time job and like doing too much. It's more so like your mind needs to be sharper. Your mind shouldn't be slowing down. If you actually believe that where you're working right now is just a stepping stone, you would be showing this because you'd be trying to get, you know, whatever, instead of like getting there and posting up and trying to like blend in. I would advise that for Aries right now, whatever you're going through is trying to make sure you can get you're trying to get a bunch of tools in your belt so you can run your own empire, Aries, whoever you are. And so a lot of the cycles right now, you need to be focused more like that. Like you're here to get stuff for you. You're not just here to like land here. And I think that will eliminate so much conflict that keeps getting magnetized to you at this time, because you're not actually even seeking out conflict. But it's just that like all these contracts are going to keep triggering for you. Like you're not supposed to keep posting up like Aries, you keep getting baited out. Like you're not supposed to be worrying about these things that deeply because they won't be here that long. It's like what I tried to tell my parents. It's like, you know, they tried to like really have us like pry into like what me and Dennis's life really is. And I was like, okay, but Dad, I'm literally not going to be here that long. And then they have nothing but regrets because they started talking to me about like, I started getting kicked out of homes because they were like, you can't stay here forever. I was like, I'm not going to stay here forever. Like, that's not what's happening. And so when that happens, when you don't in your mind, Aries, when your mental, like your like relapse, it's like your malaise, like you're the one forgetting the assignment that this is temporary. This is just a small cycle. It's not your life. It's not the end all be all. So do not burn it all to the ground, because it looks like you will really lose things that you really value if you keep blazing through and not realizing it's a cycle. It's not always going to be this way. And the more resistance you have, and I think it's like I said, because you already like unawakenedly are in your emperor, you're kind of like punishing people. You're like going up to people. It's like you're like punishing people for a temporary circumstance or something that like is presented something very temporary. And it has nothing really to do with your long-term cycle. So I just also don't want you to put, because I'm seeing you put a lot of creative force into like really like burning it down to the ground. I'm not going to leave this point, but it's like God was trying to tell you to drop it because Aries, I'm trying to tell you, your December is about to scare the shit out of you because you're about to come out of a contract. For a lot of you, this could be people in like 50-year marriages. It doesn't even matter. You're about to come out of a contract because the problem is the contract is not actually a union, and it's time for you to get realigned. So I perceive there's like a lot of like union energy. There's a lot of like things that I don't think you understand how structurally different your life is going to be. And you're about to get really silenced because when the universe moves its hand and moves you, the things that you were doing too much for when it's just a light cycle, they're not even going to matter. And they're definitely not going to help you with how much you got to deal with what's on your plate next. Because divine union isn't always easy. Getting aligned to what's actually true for you or what God has for you, it can be good or bad depending on how much you actually listen to God. Some of you girls in the collective may not even really have a relationship with God. So it's like when God puts you on the path that you were always supposed to have, you're going to have to walk away. There's a huge new beginning. So it's incentivizing. Maybe it doesn't even feel incentivizing because you don't know what's in it. I really get the sense that a lot of Aries, you're not properly understanding what's really coming to you. Another reason why you kind of need to adopt some more like positive feminine like frequencies, because like they see what's coming for you a lot more than you see what's actually realistically coming for you. What's really coming for you is it's time for you to walk away from all these cups that you've already filled up. You're not like here because I think it already proved it. I think you try to attract these because you're like, I don't have what I need, I'm a victim, I don't have what I need. So then you manifest like a contract. Okay, so you got the contract, but now that you have the contract, it's like you've already drank from all these cups now. You already got the information you needed, but you're sitting over here saying you want for life with this, and you don't. It's already been done. It's already over. So you can let yourself move on. You can let yourself graduate. You're not tied to anything. But again, you will eventually be expecting to walk away. But it's for good news. Like for Aries, like with my husband, like I said, even the job that he has right now, it's like really like right now we're just filling in certain gaps. But I always tell him, be very light with yourself, because filling in a gap that maybe like you didn't have, or from like an abuse, or like filling in like a gap from like a trauma and like childhood and stuff, is so valuable. But it can happen really quickly. Like over the summer, like I really went to like my mom's hometown to do a lot of like grid work to like heal parts of my ancestral lineage, and it just was about like retracing the land. But it was done in an afternoon. Like I drive to the city, and like I just let spirit like guide me to like places that I needed to like close out energetically. You know, I went to my dad's house and wrapped up 15 years of karma with him in 2 months. Right? It's so you just need to be open-minded to the cycle, but you do need to realize like this, the thing, the endeavor, the quest that you're on right now is not all of your life. And so no matter what you're working on right now, like again, I just like PSA for Dennis, because I know he'll probably be watching this one, but it's like, you know, even the job and the position that he's taking right now, it's helping him, because again, it's more things that are helping him realize like what's in his empire, what he really wants to do in the future. But I don't want him to keep trying to find meaning in it in deeper ways than it does. It's not going to be more than that. We are just in the cycle of going back, getting the things that we're missing, but it's already wrapping up. And so that's what I'm saying is like, enough with the fighting, enough with the starting drama, enough with like being insane, because this is all going to move. Because I think you're not realizing that like sometimes the universe does, this was supposed to be a gift. I think you were sitting here, like there are certain things that like going back and like, again, like a parent who is estranged from their child getting to see their child again, like if you're not grounded enough to take that in as a blessing, you're going to really be in deep regret, because that child is about to leave. I'm just like trying to let you know, it's like they're gone. It's like you're not even actually in the prophecy anymore. This contract is not for you. Whatever's in front of you right now, Aries, is not going to be there by the end of December 2025. The idea is that you take the high vibrational route, and that you are excited about the new beginning, and you just focus on it. Like for Dennis, I'm like, just focus, baby, like Dolphin Records, everything, all the things we do. It's just that like Dolphin Boy Records is like what he would have created before there was ever any like wounding, before there was anyone who ever tried to tell him who he was falsely, right? That's great. But before that can even activate as a timeline, whatever severing that happened has to be rectified. So it has to be that like we go back for the parts of ourselves that are now fragmented, but still have to carry out the mission that we have to carry out. So that's what I'm trying to say. Is like, even for me right now, it took me years just to get an opportunity in a photography studio. I am not stopping. I am not trying to work up in my studio right now. I am quite literally there to repurpose whatever it was for me. This is a contractual agreement. Now, I'm really getting a lot out of it, because I'm going into it knowing it's contractual, knowing it's seasonal, knowing that it ends right in alignment with when I need it to end. Because I don't need somebody to tell me how good or bad my images are. Like I don't need that, because I already run a film studio. So it's like, you know, that's kind of the thing that I would tell you is like, the things that you're doing, they're cycles. Do not extend them, because if you try to extend them, that's when the hell, like, you know, when you're dealing with people and you're getting too comfortable. I tell my husband this all the time too. Like even with the family, it's like, remember, you have cycles that you've already completed with your family. But if you try to do the thing where you're disobedient to God, where it's like, but I still want to be really close with my family members, even though like God's like, that's not gonna be possible for you. When he does that and goes out of his way to do that, it just ends in like big arguments and big fighting and big conflict and big quarrelsome energy within his own family. And it always just comes down to, is like, y'all are trying to make a cycle longer than it can be. It's like you close the cycle. It's like, this was, again, even him getting sent in rehab, it like stretched on for 10 years. That's ridiculous. Like my whole issue is like, it was supposed, like you can ground somebody. We don't need to make a life. You don't need to try to set someone on a new path. You can fucking take their phone. You can kick them out, but you don't need to try to like make someone pay for something, or make somebody do something, or keep this narrative about something that is a cycle. Because I also think, Aries, if you're someone that is going up to someone, keeping them imprisoned in a cycle they've already closed, and maybe you're dealing with this where it's like people are going up to you and they keep saying you're in a cycle that you have not been in I don't even know how long, and that's why you don't have anything to give them. There's nothing there except for like they're projecting their fiery band. It's like, that's not on you, because you're not there. Whatever they're trying to start, it's like you're not there. So again, those are all the things. This is beautiful, and this is so great, because again, this is just like emotional mastery. I think this message is going to completely, like, I'm so glad that you read the 12 signs. Like, it's going to completely help you master and begin your new start. I think the whole point is like, before you began this new cycle in this new world, in the union with all the new things that you have, Spirit just wanted you to be emotionally stable, emotionally in control, in terms of like, I am running and processing what's going on emotionally through me. Like, it's like all of those things that are super needed and super viable. So let me see. Exactly. The star in the world. Again, don't fear your authenticity, because again, Aries, the authentic version of you, that this is the cycle that like the authentic version of you exists in you committing to yourself. And if you don't commit to yourself, you, not the cycle, not the circumstance, but you, I think you're learning this. You're like, oh God, I still got it wrong. Because I think Aries, you thought like you're still kind of in your people pleaser. So you're like, oh, what people need from me is to bring the right like girlfriend home, or just like bring the right job home, or get the right paycheck. And it's like, it still didn't work, right? You're noticing that these people are still just as crappy. So what you were learning is like, okay, I got to stop living for other people, one, because they're just going to be the same. If someone wants to have a bad day or be in a bad mood, guess what? That's how they woke up. That's what they want to choose. So then you need to move around because you have the emotional intelligence to be like, this is someone who wants a specific vibration. But Aries, I don't think you want that vibration. So because you realize now you did it, you came back and you tried to be everything that they told you to be, and they still tell you you're not enough. So what does that tell you? One, stop serving people, serve God. Second thing they told you is like, but your authentic self, you've got to just keep committing to yourself. You only commit to yourself long enough to be approved of by others, and then you don't develop anything in yourself. And so that's why I'm saying you can't be, because I'm also seeing a lot of Aries where it's like, dang, you old as hell and you have not developed. You ain't ever gotten to build nothing for real. But it comes from that. It comes from living a life where it's like, my only sense of self is like piecing it together based on like people's approval of me. Like, was I a good enough wife? Was I a good enough husband? Was I a good enough friend? Was I a good enough coworker? Did I make enough money? Like, was I a good enough boss? Like, whatever those things are, like, that doesn't really matter, because the best bosses, the best husbands, the best wives are the people that can commit to themselves and have developed themselves into something. And I just feel like it sucks if you're someone at this point in your life and in this point in the planet's evolution where it's like you don't have anything to stand on. Like, you're not an individual. Like, yeah, okay, you're taking care, maybe you're building, whatever, but it's like life is, you know, if you had to walk in a room and say like, who are you? Like, what do you believe in? What are your morals? What are your values? Like, you won't have anything to say if you keep living that way. And that's why I feel like this cycle comes to an end. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. The bright news though, Aries, is that like there is a huge investor, and a huge investor that is going to put just your value in your hand. It's not this it's not the foundation that had to come down that we have to like let go of, that you built with the contract, but actual investment, not contracts, but investment, right? I always talk about love as being like a very big investment of your time. It's very much the biggest investment I've ever made. But the reason I say it's an investment is because what I put in, I was telling my husband also, I was like, I expect to get back out, right? I expect to be able to have back that which I put in. When you go into contracts like this, it can never get to a 10 of Pentacles because there's no investing here. You play this role, I'll play this role, but we're not collaborating. There's no foresight. None of us even, and this is also like surviving issues. This is like you manipulating because you were scared you wouldn't be able to survive. And that's like not, we gotta heal the wounded warrior frequency, the inner child abuse, abandonment abuse. Because if your parents leave you and put you in a basket and float you down the river, remember these biblical stories. They used to do that to babies. These little crazy ass parents, they used to drop them in baskets. But even Harry Potter had a whole, like, God will take care of you. So let it be a Harry Potter moment where it's like, don't think that you won't survive on your own, and don't let survivability be the reason that you're now manipulating and going for people that can just like contractually like do something for you or fill a role for you, because it's actually not going to help you in the end. And then when it is time for judgment to be called, then it's time for you to stand in union. You're either going to be in a weak union or a strong union, depending on like who you are as an emperor, because there can be shitty new emperors, right? The Emperor's New Groove, right? We talk about people can inherit an empire, and it could be a shithole empire. It could be whatever. It could be an empire of darkness. It could be whatever. But I think it does come down to, like I said, you are finally waking up and realizing it's like, it's not about like determining who I'm going to be based on the cycle. I need to decide who I'm going to be, and my cycles will populate around that, period. So I love that for you. But it looks like the end of December is huge for you. You actually get an investor, and you're realizing you realize why it's more important to look for investors than contracts. I think that's another huge thing is like, maybe you thought for your business or for your life, the best thing to do was like try to contractually get there. But instead, because the only people that can pull off investors are people who commit to themselves. Like the only person that can pitch something to you to convince you to give them a few mils to start a new Fortune 500 company are the people who like show commitment to self over time. So Spirit wants you to be that because you do have that capacity. But if you haven't been doing that because you just let contracts basically create your life and put you on the path, that'll be the real like catch-22 there. So you have a huge investment coming in, but it has to do with how well you committed to yourself. For my high vibing Aries, it's lit. It takes you out of this little cycle. Like I said, that's why I keep trying to tell Dennis into it's like, it's a little cycle. Like this cycle is just about giving you back little intangibles that you deserve to have. And because life is long and it's your life and you can create it, why wouldn't you go back for some things that you didn't get to have? Some first you didn't get to have? Of course you would. So I'm proud of you for doing that. Absolutely. But don't forget that when this cycle closes, don't be too sentimental. Don't be too in your feelings about even what people are doing and saying. It doesn't matter. Like, that's my disposition right now. It's like, I don't really care what anybody who's in a very temporary cycle for me has to say. Not too heavy on me. Like, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter. This isn't going to last forever. So we can either burn each other to the ground, and then when we leave here, we'll never speak again, or we can keep the path of communication open. But I think you needed this message. This is so great. I'm going to go ahead and celebrate. Have a great afternoon. I did all 12 signs before the 12 portal. I'm signing off. I'm really tired of channeling, so that's amazing. But congratulations to you, Aries. Again, because you're the last one, you also got a nice and lengthy one. But I think you wrapped up 2025 in a really, really just like completely conscious way, which is wonderful. I think everything is on the table. I think also like the physicality of some of these relationships and things that like you keep, again, if something is coming up as like quarrelsome, fighting, yelling, aggressive, violent, it's actually a you problem. It's you thinking something is way more long-term than it is. So you need to pause. You need to let it lie, because there's nothing to start. You should start, if someone wants to start some shit with you, you need to say, the only reason you feel the need to push the gas right now is because this is temporary. You're not realizing this isn't long-term. I won't even be here as long as you think. I think that's the only issue, is if Aries thinks that something's going to be in its life way longer than it actually is, it'll start like creating this like negative manifestation, but it's not actually going to be in your life that long. So that's why you should just keep floating above it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, anywho, thank you so much. I'm done for the night. Happy December. Good night.